it's quite a big thing having to take that step into doing it, because you often discuss like ideas and stuff, and to take the step is quite challenging.
Hey, I'm Jamie. Welcome back to another episode of the Jamie and You Show, where I shine light on the amazing things people are doing and through conversation uncover unique insights that could inspire you or enable you to pursue your greatest ideas. Please feel free to pause the conversation at any time while you're watching or listening and write down your favorite quotes and your favorite insights, and please share them with us. If you're watching, please share them in the comment section below. And if you're listening or the comment section isn't for you, please tweet me at Jamie and You. Keegs, welcome to the show, man.
Hey Jamie, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Super stoked to be honest.
It's good to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Keegs, how do you go from doing a job shadow in high school, which sparks the idea of how you'd want to get involved in business, to then studying engineering at university and now finding yourself doing full-time 2 entrepreneurial projects?
So yeah, it's the main question. So basically, I find it is a very confusing thing to try to work out what you want to do from when you're a kid. And when you're in high school, you kind of have this pressure of, especially coming into like grade 11 and matric, you have to start working out what you want to do. And the educational system, I find, is also something that like doesn't really completely prepare you for it, and our kind of straight degrees that you have to choose. And if you want to like go to a university that's quite established, you have very specific things you have to choose.
I completely agree, and to have to choose that when you're 17 or 18 years old is ridiculous.
Yeah, I honestly think there needs to be a big change in the educational system coming up. But going back to what you said, when I was growing up, I had many different interests, and I had quite a strong math side, but then I also had quite an arty creative side. So
the struggle.
Yeah. So I always wanted to try create a balance and do something in life that I was very interested in. So when I was doing job shadowing, we had 2 days to job shadow, and I chose to go to 2 different companies.
Nice.
The one company was an animation company called Black Ginger, which was more of the creative side. And then I actually job shadowed one of my friend's fathers, Lionel Jadeka, and he was a plastic surgeon. So I did a little plastic surgery. I went in surgery and stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was the other side. And then when I was there at Black Ginger, I kind of got put to job shadow someone who was just doing their very specific task. And I liked the whole concept of animation. But when I was watching what they were actually doing and being very specific and doing so I could say mundane tasks.
Repetitive.
Very repetitive, very specific. I kind of didn't really think it was for me. And I kind of liked the whole bigger picture of business and trying to strive for and being involved in lots of different aspects instead of just being involved in one task. So that's when I kind of first realized I would actually dig to start my own stuff and be more entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I think that it seems like there is a point when you realize, do I want to focus in on one specialized thing and be really good at that craft in a sense?
Yeah.
Or do I want to create something bigger than that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so
the entrepreneurial bug was there somewhere.
I definitely want to try and do stuff for myself. And another aspect of that was also like, because I have many different interests, I didn't necessarily want to, because as you said, I study engineering, I didn't want to literally go and maybe just do one thing my whole life. I kind of want to have all my eggs in one basket. I kind of wanted to spread it out and maybe try and get a few things going.
Right.
And then, yeah.
Why did engineering grab you?
Okay, so because I had that maths and science side of my brain and strengths, and I kind of wanted to go to quite an established university to get that whole experience of being at like quite a big university. Because I was looking at like, I wanted to remain in Cape Town, So I was looking at either University of Cape Town or Stellenbosch. And the other options was to go to more of a creative school. But then I thought rather just go, I don't know, I wanted to go to University of Cape Town.
Yeah.
And I was looking at degrees, and I was between, my first option was engineering. And then my second option ended up being architecture. And then if I had another option, I probably would have chosen business science.
Right.
And I ended up choosing engineering because I chose mechanical engineering. I ended up in electromechanical engineering. And it's something that also you could go into multiple jobs from it. It didn't have to be engineer. It wasn't very specific. You can branch off quite well.
But what's so interesting there is you mentioned, so you had an interest in the art side, the creative side, and then the math side, and then this little exposure to business, but you decided to double down on the math side, which is interesting.
And engineering is quite a well-recognized degree
as well.
So
it's problem solving as well. So you're getting a lot of exposure.
You learn how to think. They really teach you a way of thinking and a way of problem solving. Which I use it really teaches you how to teach yourself to do something.
That's
big. That was the biggest thing I took out of engineering, is how you can almost teach yourself how to do anything. So
I've never thought about engineering like that.
That's
literally such a big deal.
And even when you chatting to people in the food court and then you say, I do engineering, everyone's like, ooh, engineering, you know? So it does have that little stigma of being quite an established degree. So I thought, do that, get that under my belt, and then I can go from there. When I was studying, I thought I could become an engineer, but I was never set in stone on becoming an engineer. I always thought, let's do that as a degree and then go from there.
And then during your studies, did you just double down on your studies, or did you do some things on the side here and there?
So I had a lot of different little jobs while studying. I've got photography as a hobby. So I was doing a few shoots and stuff like that. And then I was also working in a little bit of a festival scene as an extra hobby. And then in second year, I kind of came up with the idea of starting a clothing brand. And I approached one of my friends who I was studying with and asked if he would do it, and he was also keen. So we kind of came up with the concept and started playing around with names and stuff. But because engineering was so time demanding, I couldn't get it very far at all.
Right.
So I kind of put it on pause.
How much did you do of it? Just ideating?
Yeah, kind of was playing with concepts in my mind, playing with different logos and stuff, but I didn't ever get around to actually sampling anything.
Right.
And I was in second year, if I remember correctly. So I completely put it on pause because you actually have no time. Yeah. So as soon as I finished engineering, after 4 years,
but that's where you would have gained other skills. You would have, because I think with a degree like engineering and with some of these degrees where they push you so hard, you really learn your limits. You learn how much you can do. So
completely.
You would have.
You learn how to push yourself way more than you would have thought.
Exactly, and then and all the skills that come with that. Time management and all the grit that you have to use.
And rather focus on that instead of.
Exactly.
And you can do everything after.
Exactly.
Because in the end, 4 years is actually not that long.
It's not.
It feels like you're there for ages, but nowadays it feels like a year goes by like this.
Super quickly.
Super quick. So at the end of my engineering degree, that December period after 4 years of studying, I was like, okay, I'm free. That's when I was like, now I kind of thought now is the time, I don't have any responsibilities. I haven't worked my way up a job ladder yet. And if I'm going to give it a bash, I might as well do it now. And then, that was actually pretty much in December after I studied.
So you didn't apply for any jobs?
No, I hadn't even applied yet. And I kind of wanted to I wanted to start a clothing brand. And it's quite a big thing having to take that step into doing it. Because you often discuss ideas and stuff, and to take the step is quite challenging.
Mm.
And then one night I was driving home and I kind of came up with all the different concepts and thought about it and wanted to kind of create, as I said, I have multiple interests. And I wanted to create a brand that kind of resembled me in a way and like the lifestyle I live. So I wanted to include like, well, obviously with creating clothes, you have to be super creative. So I wanted to I had my creative side and design side. And then I wanted to include like photography and I'm interested in music. So I wanted to include like a music side to the brand and kind of create like a real lifestyle brand instead of just clothing and like make it more than clothing.
Right.
Yeah. So
did you have any inspirations for those ideas?
No, I just kind of, well, with the clothing, I wanted to make the website more of the lifestyle side. So you could go onto the website and you'll be able to access music and you'll be able to see cool videos and like find cool photos and now it's actually, yeah. So, and with the clothing and advertising of it, you would obviously have to get more creative and do cool shoots and all sorts of stuff. So in that stage, we went away for like our December holidays and stuff, and I found, well, I was quite nervous to do it on my own, and then I came across Matteo, who was my first partner in Float, and he had just come back from a gap year. He was living in Australia for a year, and he was actually super interested in, well, he was exposed to a whole lot of cool brands in Australia.
That's cool.
And we actually do have quite an Australian influence in our style, Float. And he was keen on bringing brands into South Africa. Some of the brands he discovered.
Like underneath an umbrella of Float.
Oh, no. So that was before I even mentioned Float.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So I was chatting to him one evening when we were away, and I told him about Float. And he kind of realized that it actually would have been quite expensive to bring all the brands in, and we'll be selling Australian clothes at quite a high price. Yeah. So he thought, let's leave that, and he was keen on joining me on Float. So that's awesome. So we started Float together in the year, or we started brainstorming it in that year of 2016. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. It's so nice that you found a guy who was thinking along the similar lines.
Exactly, and we also have super similar interests. So
okay.
Yeah.
What made you nervous about starting it yourself, and not wanting to start it yourself?
I don't know. Like it's nice to bounce ideas off people and work through it together. I'm not sure. It wasn't like something very specific that I didn't want to start on my own. But I don't know. It's nice to have a friend along the way.
Definitely. Yeah. It helps.
It can become lonely because you have to be super self-dedicated, and which I'm definitely 100% dedicated, but it's nice to have someone to go along the ride with you.
For sure, man. Yeah, I've got friends who've freelancers, entrepreneurs, and they're working on stuff by themselves, and it's tough.
Yeah, it can get lonely.
Yeah, you have to dig deep, and you start finding ways to get inspiration and collaborate with people outside of the job specifically to try get some extra inspiration. Yeah. But if you have that partner in the job with you, then I'm sure it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, for
sure.
You're
right. Like just the simple thing of bouncing around ideas.
Yeah.
It's really a great way to advance your ideas is to be able to bounce them off someone.
For sure.
And if there's someone else in your team that has a vested interest in doing that as well, then that's easier. Because if you're by yourself, you can go, meet up with a friend and say, hey, can I bounce some things off you? But like they're not always going to be willing to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's so cool.
So then we decided to give it a bash together.
Yeah. And so what was the plan? Was it, how did you think what you should start with? What was the game plan? Did you draw up to say over these years, we're going to do these things? Or did you look in quite a short time frame and just think, let's just get something out?
Yeah, so we didn't. Yeah, so that was around just like January, February, end of January 2016. And we decided, okay, let's go for it. And then, so I just finished university, and Matteo finished university and done his gap year, and he came back. So we were both like, okay, we wanted to try to do some internships, and I wanted to travel for a little bit that year. And we were like, okay, the best time to start a clothing brand would be to start in summer. We didn't want to start in the beginning of winter. And we wanted to give that year to kind of build the ideas, build the brand, come up with the concepts, sample clothing, sample what we wanted to make, and then launch it that beginning of that summer 2016. So that would be in like October-ish time.
Right.
So I did like an internship, engineering internship, and tried to save up some money, and then I went traveling to Indonesia and the Philippines.
Awesome.
And then after that, I came back and started it. And during that year, we had to work out what we were gonna make, work out how much we wanted to invest in it, come up with like a marketing idea, or we came up with quite a strong marketing plan, and a business plan, but our business plan wasn't as in depth as it like needed to be.
Right.
But then again, we also had like zero knowledge because we first time. None of us were from the clothing. Mateo's family had a clothing background, but none of us had been in the industry before. And we just kind of needed it. We were going to wing it.
So tell us more about the marketing plan.
So our whole first year, we kind of focused on building the brand. We weren't too worried about sales, and we weren't, and making money and stuff. We just wanted to get quite a strong brand out there. So Float, we wanted to keep pushing that as a lifestyle brand instead of just being clothing. So the first thing, as soon as we launched with an event, and we got one of our friends' fathers owned a gallery in town, and we asked her if we could borrow the space for the night, and we threw a little party, and we got a few DJs to play, and to incorporate the music side, and on the project we got a projector on and put like surfing on to incorporate the surfing lifestyle side. And then also actually art gallery, so there was all different art around, so it had like quite an arty feel. And that was the first time we released our clothes and kind of sold our clothes. And then from there,
which I guess it's an interesting conscious decision that you guys made, because you can launch through a website to start. You could launch just through social media. You could launch in a store. You could set up your own pop-up store. Like there's all sorts of different ways to launch, but you guys seem to be quite intentional. Like just the way you explained that right now, it's like very intentional. It's like, we're a lifestyle brand. We're going to open with a party, DJs, videos.
And make it like a fun brand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the same time, I did build a website, and we made our first store was our online store. And the events were more kind of pop-up. But that's the way we want to release the brand, and for the first time. That's
cool. And then people would have come to that event and then felt the brand.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
You full on bring them into the brand.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to like show it over social media and maybe show them an image or something, you kind of invite them into the brand and they get to experience it.
That's
completely.
So cool. Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, like social media and websites are great.
Yeah.
But you don't get the same feeling.
And you have to kind of rely on someone to go through your whole website and kind of look through everything, read about it, and so not all of the customers clicking on your website will actually go through that. They might have a little quick scroll, see what you sell, and then cruise.
What was the reception like? Did people like what they saw at that event?
Yeah, for sure. We were super stoked at the end of the night. Like we sold a lot, or what we thought was a lot. And we had some really good feedback, and everyone had a great time. So it was
success.
We thought it was a success. I guess.
That's awesome. Sure. That's so cool. And then have you used events as a tool since? Yeah,
so we've kept that going. And the event scene in Cape Town is very saturated. Like on a summer weekend, there's at least like 5 to 6 events every weekend. So it's a tricky scene to be in, but we kind of always wanted to keep it intimate and not go too much at events. We didn't want to become an events company. We'd rather be a clothing brand that just likes to have a good party and throw an event every once in a while. So we've got an annual event, which is our birthday party. And we do that every October. So we've
Nice.
done 2 biggish ones, and we hired out like a big warehouse and stuff. And then those were more of our risky events. And then throughout the year, we do little events, like more intimate ones, like we call them float intimates. And then we find all different cool little venues around the town. One of our other first ones was at the Strangers Club in Greenpoint before they actually opened as a restaurant. And then, so we kept kind of pushing that event side also because we keep bringing the people back into it. And events really get people talking. So
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good like sneaky marketing technique because it's like everyone's kind of like, yeah, what you doing this weekend? And then you're like, I'm going to this float party. It's like, what is float?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually this clothing brand. And then you kind of get people to talking to that. And you're like, I see you at the float party, and you keep saying float. And then you sit around, and then you end up going, and then you kind of get an idea of what the brand's about, see what clothes it is, like see what people are like the brand's targeting, or like not what we targeting, but what people react, or what people enjoy, like what type of people are coming to the event. So it's quite a wholesome place to bring people in.
It's brilliant. And I like what you said there. People say, what are you getting up to this weekend?
But it's kind of,
and because if you're a clothing brand, someone would never answer, what are you getting up to this weekend with, I'm going to go shop for this clothing. They'll never, ever say that. The only things you ever share are the social things you're getting up to when someone asks you that. So if you throw a little event in there, that's amazing.
That's a good talking point. Like we even, for our first birthday, our little tagline was like, see you at the float party. So on all of our Insta stories, we would make like, see you at the float party, just to get people talking and say like, okay, see you at that festival.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where do you guys get that marketing creativity?
We kind of just, I don't know, we don't really draw influence from we might see some stuff subconsciously around, but it's just kind of little ideas we brainstorm while trying to make the designs and stuff. Yeah.
And so, let's talk about that. What's the process of actually making the clothes? Because we haven't spoken about that yet.
Okay, yeah. So that's also something like we had to kind of figure out along the way from the start. And the clothing scene in Cape Town was huge about 20 years ago, before China came along. And it was quite a thriving market. And then when China came along, it did affected the industry completely in South Africa. And we see on a daily basis like CMTs, which is seamstresses, cut, make and trim, who have about 40 years experience, and they are struggling. Like they really, really struggle. So there's major talent in South Africa, and at the moment everything's locally produced and manufactured. But
for the float clothes, awesome.
Yeah, all of our stuff is locally made, our fabric's locally sourced, and we're just trying to empower everyone here. And for now, it's working really hard. But there is also super hard parts to it, like reliability and like, I don't know, compared to just ordering it and everything arriving from China.
Right.
But yeah, at the moment, we've been really happy with manufacturing everything in Cape Town. So basically, roughly, what you'll do is you want to come up with, you'll have ideas what you want to make. So say I want to make this long sleeve. We kind of take a fit that we like, and we go to we go to a pattern maker, and the pattern maker will kind of measure, or you kind of say, so I like this fit, but I want it to be slightly longer. I want it to be wider. I want the shoulders to come over here. I don't want such a big cuff on here. And then she'll make the pattern according to what you say. And then you'll sample that pattern. And at the same time, you've got to go find the fabric. So there's a whole lot of different fabric houses that you have to find around Cape Town. Or anywhere in South Africa. But we based everything in Cape Town just because that was where we're from. And also the fabric selection is also quite a tricky thing in South Africa at the moment. Because you don't have such a wide range as you would elsewhere. We have to kind of choose from a certain fabric houses that are reliable and have constant supply and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of different variations or variables that we have to kind of think about.
And are you just shopping around, walking in and seeing what they have, and then you have something in your
So when
head?
now we've got like certain suppliers that we always use.
Okay.
But when we first started, we literally got in the car and drove up and down Woodstock, drove into Epping, drove all around, kind of spoke to people, or luckily my brother's now wife, has also got a clothing brand, and she gave us a whole lot of pointers and some suppliers that she uses. And we'll go and just rock up there and try find fabrics that we could use, and then go to other fabric houses, see if they like sold t-shirting. Because when we started, we just started with t-shirts, long sleeves, and like some jerseys, or like actually fleece tops, like fleece long sleeves. So we just started really simple, and now we've like quite expanded our range into male and female, and a whole lot of quite a wide product range. But for when we started, we were kind of just looking for our t-shirting and trying to find nice fabric. So you find your suppliers, you find the fabric, you sample it, and then you need to grade. Once you got your pattern, you need to grade the patterns to have the small, medium, large, extra large.
Oh, okay.
And then from there...
And the person who makes the patterns, they can pretty much handle that?
Yeah, so pattern makers often do the grading as well. Or else you'll go to graders.
Okay.
They specifically just handle the grading. And now what we actually do, we use digital graders. So they actually measure it out, and it goes onto like a computer, and then they scale it from there. And then they can print out markers on demand. It's also quite more effective in saving fabric, because from the pattern makers, it goes to the cutter, and so you drop off all your fabric at the cutter, and so if it was all old school patterns, like they lay out the pattern on the fabric, trying to fit in as much as possible.
Right.
So where digital grader who prints out the markers, they do it all on the computer, so it's kind of saving as much fabric as possible, and you being most efficient.
Wait, and then is the computer laser cutting it, or printing a pattern?
So it's got it's a little CNC type of kind
it's
of
not
CNC.
lasers.
Yeah,
it's something
like it's a 3-axis like printer.
Okay.
So it's actually got a little pen, and it cruises around and prints out the marker.
Right.
And then they lay a whole lot of fabric on top of each other, and they lay the marker on top, and then they cut it out.
Okay.
And then once all the patterns have been cut, it goes to the CMT. And at the same time, you're sourcing your labels and all of the other stuff. And then that all goes to the CMT, and they put it all together. And then we take our finished product and we take it to the printer or the embroidery. And then they do the finishing designs. And then we can put the little swing tag on and sell it.
That's full-on production.
Yeah,
process.
so that's the simplified process.
Yeah. That's the steps, I guess. Yeah. And you guys just had to learn that on the fly.
Yeah.
Just bashing your way through it.
Whilst
basically.
doing the samples and stuff, you kind of get the idea of how it works. And then also, like, if you don't like something about your sample, then you've got to go back to the pattern maker and then kind of make sure that your sample is perfect before you do the grading, because then you have to make another sample, and it's like it all adds on time.
And is it just the two of you still, you and Matteo?
So it was us for the first year, and we did only boys clothing, and then my girlfriend actually came on board to do the Courtney Ely, and she came on to do all the girls' clothes for us.
Nice.
So she's been doing all the designing for the girls' clothes. So now we've got male and female clothing. And the females have actually done really well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
and and generally ladies also love shopping.
So it is a good market to get into if you're doing clothing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. So, okay, so there's the three of you.
Yeah, so there's the three of us,
and you
then
coordinate that whole process.
Yeah, and now we've also started hiring some more people.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've also luckily had some interns along the way.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
To
it
get
was actually
involved.
So we first had a design intern from Stellenbosch, and then we randomly got these two French girls have found us on Instagram, and they applied to do like a 6-month internship.
No way.
Yeah.
Did they just
so as a part of their degree,
they just emailed you guys?
They found us on Instagram, like emailed us, sent us a little video, like saying, "Please, can we come intern at you?" And then, the one actually unfortunately couldn't come, and the other one followed through and came through. So we had her for 6 months, and we've had some other interns as well.
That's so cool.
Another French one as well. It's quite funny.
Yeah. And you said it was part of their studies. They had to do internships.
So a lot of the European degrees, they actually make their students, especially if they're studying business, go out and do at least 3 to 6 months and at a certain at companies.
That's so cool. I think it's so important.
I also really think it's important because like you don't actually know what it's all about until you put yourself in the role and in the job. And in general, whatever industry you want to get into, I'd really recommend going and just doing an internship there and testing it out. See if you actually want to do it.
For sure, man.
So you don't really, even before you choose what to study, going back to like that whole at school kind of conversation, you do almost want to maybe take a year out and try out all different things you think you might be interested in.
Yeah, I suppose like there would be value for everyone if that happened, because maybe you could imagine a program that like an internship encouraging program where kids are coming, maybe it's in their, I mean, similar to the job shadowing idea, but maybe it's even after school, and kids are going and doing some internships, and then as a result they're finding what they like and what they don't like, but then also they're forming relationships with these companies, which they could then potentially go study something because they want to try land a job at that company. And then that company's already still nurturing that relationship with them. They graduate and they go work there. Like it seems like it could be a cool system. And then everyone's winning because the kid is actually doing
what you're wanting to do.
Exactly.
And you're studying something that's relevant. You aren't like getting in a degree and then finding out you're actually not interested at all after 2 years. And like then you have that question, do I want to continue studying this and follow it through, or do I actually want to go back and start something completely, and then you're like, but I'm going to be too old.
Yeah. And then it's wasting time, money. It's just chaos. Yeah.
So in general, if you think that you want to, or if you have an idea of what you want to do, just go do an internship and try it out.
Agreed. Yeah. Take that opportunity if you can, definitely. Yeah. So that's cool, man. Cause I think, I'm really glad to hear that you were able to get some help in the business here and there, because it's quite something hearing the story of, an entrepreneurship. It's you being inspired to be creative and start a brand and start a business. But what it actually comes down to is you have to be on the ground doing that hard stuff of the production process.
There's literally always 1,001 things to do every single day. And you actually end up getting stuck in the groove of just doing these little like day-to-day tasks. Like we've got a to-do list that runs on forever, and you just kind of prioritize it and see, okay, this has to be done. But you actually almost get stuck into doing those little things that you almost need to take a step back and be like, well, now we're at a stage where we're like hiring people to do those tasks, so we can kind of step back and think about more strategic ways of make more strategic decisions and think more businessly where we want to go and what we actually want to do. And instead of just being the guys that having to work out what stock we have to pack and make sure the shop's got this and that and running around doing all of that, we actually want to kind of more focus on our growth. And
so you mentioned shops there. So how are you guys selling now? Is it not just online anymore?
Yeah, so we started online, and we did our events, little pop-up events. And we did that for the first year. And then the second year, coming into our second summer season, and it worked for us. We were all happy with it at the time. And I think we actually wouldn't have been able to handle, from capital, trying to put out enough stock for more shops, and B, just time and knowledge. Like we had our first year to build the brand and kind of work out like the ways and work out our manufacturing process, like fine tune everything, kind of oil the machine. And then from there, we actually luckily got a position in the biscuit mill. And that was our first big step.
The biscuit mill market.
Yeah, the old biscuit, there's a neighbor goods market at the old biscuit mill in Woodstock. And that's every Saturday. So that was like quite a good turnover every Saturday. So that was like a weekly thing. And that was like our first big step. And that we got into that in December 2017.
Right.
And then in February 2018, so after the new year, and then we kept doing our events and I had our online store. And then February, we joined a shop called Boer Up Collective, and that's in the Boer Cup, and it's a shop that houses 16 local designers, and you each get your space, and you can pay your rent for your space, but it's quite a lot of foot traffic goes to that, and that's open 6 days a week. So then I was like,
that's cool.
actually I missed the whole step, sorry. So March, so after our first year, we were kind of working out of our bedrooms and stuff, and meeting at coffee shops, trying to have like our office in a coffee shop type of thing.
Right.
And then March after that first little summer, there was a space open in Woodstock, and it was one of my mom's friends wanted like a little painting studio, and she didn't really want this whole big room, and it was quite a bit of rent for her just to do for a hobby. So she approached us and she was like, are you guys looking for office? Because we could split the rent, and I could do my art and you can have your office, and you could even like maybe sell some clothes from here. It could be like a showroom. So we moved in there, and that was our actual second thing. And that was also such a game changer, because you actually were able to get out of bed and go to work instead of like getting out of bed and just sitting at the desk, you know.
Yes.
You had a place to go, you had a place to meet clients or potential people you're going to work with. So you had a meeting place, and you had a place for people to come actually see your clothes and try it on. Because the South African online market, I mean, even though online shopping is growing quite fast now, people still do want to try on clothes, make sure it's like the right fit, and see it on them before they buy it. So it gave an opportunity for people to come actually shop there. Right. And then from there, we went to the Biscuit Mall, and then we had the Boer Up. So that was like 4 avenues. And then our latest one was we got a store at the Watershed in the waterfront.
Nice. So another market type store.
Yeah. And I mean, that was also such a blessing, because it's super busy. Well, I mean, it's in high demand trying to get in there.
Right.
And we had to open every single day, and you've got your own space. So that, yeah. And it's at the waterfront. Where
Are you employing people to work these stores?
Yeah, so now we've got like a store manager there who works from Monday to Friday, and then we've got a weekend staff that works from Saturday and Sunday.
Nice.
And then the Boer Up is run by their staff. We pay like split staff wages, and then the Biscuit Mall, we hire someone works there every week. Every weekend. But in the beginning, we just did it.
Yeah. And I actually want to ask a little bit about the office space. So you named a lot of good reasons to have that space. So I think for you guys, it's super worth it. But I think a lot of people struggle to take that step to say, let's pay every month, money's going out, and we don't really need it. So, but you just explained a really good case for why you do need it.
So my initial response was that, like, okay, no, because Mom, it's one of my mom's friends, and she was like, I was like to my mom, no, like we can't actually afford to be able to like do this, you know. At this stage, we're quite happy just working from our bedrooms. It's not such a big thing. But I mean, for us, we kind of incorporated a shop into our office, so we called it a studio. Yes. And literally, like, if you go in, you'll see like patterns on the one side, us working, like clothes all over the place, and at the front we've got like a couple of rails.
So you're still there?
Yeah, so we're still there. We're actually moving downstairs now. Okay. So we're moving out there, and then it's going to be more of a shop, and then the office behind. Right. Because it's so hard to keep the place tidy. Yeah.
And you want it like semi-presentable.
Yeah. So now we're going to make quite a nice little storefront.
Nice.
And then our stock's behind the wall with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for us, and being able to split the rent, it was a great step in the right direction. And it's nice. I mean, we really enjoyed finding a place to be able to go to.
Yeah, it is nice. It is like is a nice thing. It's just the money. Yeah, it's just money. You just think like, oh, is this really worth it? But I think the way we
luckily and also in the beginning, my mom managed to she was like, I think it will be great for you guys. Like, I don't mind upfronting some cash,
right?
Because at the moment, from then, we had self-funded everything. We hadn't got any investment, or we hadn't asked for money or anything. We did it all of our own pocket. And she was like, I don't mind upfronting some cash so you guys have a space to go work.
Right.
And then as soon as we were turning enough, we just took over that rent.
Yes. Okay.
So, I mean, we were super lucky in that case.
Yeah. Yeah. But it does, what I really like what you guys did is that, I guess maybe your mom like could also see that vision of like, this could be a really nice next step essentially. And then maybe like everyone kind of bought into that idea. And I think you guys were responsible about it in that you didn't say, okay, now we just get like a nice place to go put our laptops down. You said, no, actually, let's use this space. We're paying for this space.
Yeah, let's make the most out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. And I think just what we haven't spoken about yet is, I mean, it's been quite a casual conversation about this clothing brand and lifestyle brand that you started. But the fact that it was a success and it's still going and you're still expanding and something must be working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
sure.
it isn't necessarily just a given that you start a lifestyle brand and then it actually keeps going year after year, going into more stores, selling more clothes. So what's that experience been like? Like has it just progressed as easily as you've explained now, where you're just naturally expanding because people keep being interested in the brand and they keep buying the clothing? Do you just keep releasing new batches of clothing on new seasons, people are receptive to it, and then you just keep going from there? Has it come quite naturally?
Yeah, I mean, it has, like, it's organically grown from the start, and we haven't pushed it extremely hard and like in people's faces and stuff. It's been super organic. I'd say the first year, as I said, we had it was just online store, and then we had the studio, and we kind of was just focusing on the branding. And then the next year, okay, we were like, now we actually need to start bringing in some more revenue, and we need to start getting in more outlets or getting some more places that we can sell our clothes. Because we found like if we put our clothes somewhere, or if we did a pop-up market, people were really interested and they wanted to buy the clothes. So we were like, okay, let's start opening up some more places.
Right.
And it all came at its own like given time, and we've also been quite lucky in terms of our timing, because the thing about clothing is also you've got to upfront money to make the stock, and you're sitting with all your cash in stock, and then you've got to kind of sell it to make your money. It's not like you providing a service and get paid straight away.
Yes.
So
cash flow is something
the cash flow is something that we're still learning, and we almost have to, like, now we're starting to do a proper cash flow predictions, so we know how much we can make, and we know how much we can put away so we can do our manufacturing to get to a certain point, whatever. But yeah, so the organic growth's been super cool for us, and now we actually and it's really cool to be able to see the growth, from what we were turning the first summer to what we've turned this last summer. So yeah, it's been, and what's also quite interesting is when you start something, you kind of get such support from your friends and like family friends and all of that. And I mean, they still support, but then that kind of fades away as soon as the brand's okay.
Yes.
And then you kind of see like other interests, and you start seeing your brand around. Like in the beginning, you start to see your brand around with people you don't really know. You're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. And now it's like, yeah, your friends actually don't buy that much at all compared to like other people. Or
so
just random.
Do you see people wearing your clothing?
Yeah, it's always quite a weird one where you check, and we always like just nudge each other. Like,
yes. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, because once it gets to that point, the people buying the clothing don't know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Like I often get like, oh, so where'd you get that dress or cap from? We're like, yeah, this is like brand, local brand, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't like, yeah, no, it's my brand, you know.
Oh, so you don't say it?
Yeah, it depends.
It depends, yeah.
It depends how in depth they want to talk. But
yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And so you like wearing your clothes? Yeah,
I always.
Exclusively.
We kind of make clothes that we want to wear.
Yeah.
It's not like we trying to fit a certain trend. Like we just make stuff that we actually want to wear. And we also aren't like high fashion or anything. Like we kind of daily, like wearable clothes.
Right.
So Yeah, I kind of pretty much I never buy clothes anymore. Just wear my own clothes.
You just decide like, what do I need next? And then just make that thing.
Yeah, literally like, oh, I like that type of jacket. Let's make some of that, you know?
Oh, that's so cool. So, I mean, then in saying that, like, are you guys going to start making everything, shoes and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the full spectrum of the outfits? So you
we kind of have
everything?
started building onto that. You can come walk into Floats and just come buy a whole outfit.
Yeah.
So as I said, we started with just t-shirts and long sleeves pretty much. Then we came out with some like crew necks and fleeces, and then we came out with jackets. Now we've come out with pants, and then we got caps and beanies, and now we just released like float board shorts, and now we've got other shorts.
Awesome.
And now coming up winter, we want to do some socks. So yeah, we pretty much.
Okay, so you're working down the body.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then girls' side, we've also got like a whole bunch of dresses, overalls, and jumpsuits, and all like our product range is pretty wide now.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
How are you deciding what to do next?
Partly based on trends, partly based on what we want to wear, and also we're kind of trying to find products that have quite good profit margins.
Right.
That you can. I mean, like, say for instance, socks. It's like a nice thing to make, but in South Africa, you manufacture them for say like 80 rand or 60 rand, and you can only sell it for like 100. No one's going to buy one pair of socks more than 150. So you aren't actually making like great margins. It's just a nice thing to have, for instance.
Yes.
So we kind of now are starting to think, okay, this is like we're getting much more business about everything and trying to think more businessly in terms of profit margins and all that.
And I just
in a sense, the gut trends and kind of what we want to wear.
Okay, so not so much feedback from people who buy the clothes. Like, oh, I suppose no one's going to say, oh, I wish you guys made socks.
Yeah.
They're just, I think with clothing brands, you're just kind of grateful if they come up with anything new. So you're right. Actually, trends is probably the better way to do it.
Yeah, so we're always watching like what's happening overseas. What are the other bigger brands doing? We're taking influence from that, and we're also taking influence from just our daily lives in Cape Town.
Which is good. I mean,
and especially design-wise, like also just all designs are based on like.
But that's the thing, taking advice from, or like taking inspiration from looking around and seeing what other, what people are wearing, what trends are going on, is not lazy. It's really smart.
Yeah,
because I mean, like those other brands have massive teams behind tracking
and
trends.
These websites that you pay a fortune for to get onto, that spot trends.
Oh, I've heard about these things.
Spot colors coming in, spot styles coming in, and one of our interns is with us at the moment. She's got access to that website, and we actually haven't really used it before.
What's it like?
We're looking at it today. It's funny enough, and we're actually seeing like we're quite in trend. Okay. Luckily,
yeah.
But that's all just based on our intuition.
Yes.
And just forecasting, like, or just from our own taste.
Yeah. I wanted to say something about the margin, like trying to track the margin of the products, like trying to make as much profit as possible, essentially, is the fact that that's a good thing for everyone. Yeah. And I think that's something that I think needs to change with the mindset of capitalism, essentially, is profit is a good thing because it keeps your business alive.
Exactly.
If you can keep making profit, then you can still keep employing all the people that make your clothing, and you can keep providing clothing to people who want to buy it. It's all win-win with that.
Grow,
Exactly, your money can grow. So if everyone is buying the products for what they feel the products are worth, and everyone who's making the products is getting paid what they think they're worth, then maximizing profit margin is the money that keeps that thing alive to keep going and going and going.
And price points, even though like we could charge maybe way more to get a bigger profit, we always try keeping that affordable like target in terms of like we kind of underprice from like the other local brands in a way, but it's just more to if someone who comes in and they like a t-shirt, they can buy it, you know.
Right.
We don't want it to be too out of range, like, and have to think and wait for your birthday to buy it, you know. We want to kind of just be that kind of affordable,
Yeah.
but not cheap, because we are actually making everything locally and like small scale production where it does cost.
So what would be the advantage of charging a bit more?
Just to make more, I guess.
So you reckon you could make more?
Yeah,
Do you
there's
think people would buy
definitely-
less?
Yeah. I mean, it's quite hard to tell.
It is hard to tell, yeah.
But in general, like we've been pushing our prices up every summer as well, as everything gets more expensive. But in general, we are slightly lower than the average local street brand. Our price point is slightly lower. Yeah.
Right. And I like what you said, because you want people to be able to get it, get it in their hands. Yeah. And then if they can, I think it's also important to realize that if more people can get it and start wearing it, then that's a marketing expense essentially.
Exactly.
It's like, let's make slightly less
so
margin.
more people can get it.
There we
and
go.
More people will wear it.
Yeah.
100%.
Should we talk about local knowledge?
Yeah.
Kick it off, man.
So I've also got another company I started with two of my friends, Nick Schooling and Ryan Pike, otherwise known as Choppy. And that's a tourism company. So I had started Float, and they were they were doing their postgrads at Stellenbosch, and they went for a little hike up Constantia Neck to the reservoirs in Table Mountain, and they were like, it's such a pity that tourists that come to Cape Town don't really get to see like all the cool stuff that us locals do. And they were like, wait, let's start a tourism company where we get to show tourists local sides of Cape Town and what we actually like doing, instead of just the touristy things that most of the other tourism companies do.
Right.
So
that's so cool that they were inspired in that moment.
Yeah, actually being in nature, doing something that us locals like doing, that's less common and compared to say like going up Lion's Head or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's actually just show. I would love to show tourists around Cape Town and show them more of a local side, a local perspective of Cape Town. So so Noodle actually, Nick Skilling, he actually phoned me and he was like, what do you think of this idea? Would you actually be keen to get involved? Because we love the way you've kind of shown Float and kind of presented Float and branded it and stuff. And also me, like my entrepreneurial side, I've always wanted to get into a whole lot of different things and have my eggs in a couple of different baskets. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's bang it.
Nice. So how long had you been working on Float at that point?
I'm trying to actually think back and work it out. But that was my first year of Float. I mean, the first winter Float, we started brainstorming it and then released it. We also gave ourselves the year to kind of get it all together.
Right.
So it was kind of after a year of doing Float, like a year and a half, I'd say, we launched Local Knowledge.
I guess I was, because just trying to work out, so you'd built a bit of a track record, and that's why they reached out to you.
Yeah,
you guys were friends, I guess, as well. Yeah,
sure. But so they kind of saw that they enjoyed the way I kind of branded and marketed. I was doing the marketing of Float, and they're like, he would be a good partner to have.
So how did it go from there?
So from there,
the three of you meet up.
Yeah, another meet up and discussions and trying to work out ways of doing it and different activities, working out names and everything. And both of the companies actually had the name from the start. Like when I was brainstorming with Float, that was the first name I ever thought of, and they wanted to kind of give Local Knowledge. And also had the name from the start. So we kind of came up, we did a little bit of market research, went to some backpackers, because our target market for Local Knowledge is kind of our age, or 18 to 35. We often have some older people on our tours, but it's like kind of aimed at the younger tourists. so we went around and started speaking to them, and we had like a whole list of ideas that we wanted to implement. And we kind of, their advice was, because we had like a different tour on every day that we wanted to do, and their advice was like, okay, or some of the advice said, rather
From the
try.
were these the backpackers giving you advice?
Yeah, they were like, well, the first person went, they're like, no, I actually don't think this, like, you guys are way too wide range. Rather focus on doing like one thing and getting that good. So we kind of took it with a pinch of salt. And we've kind of gone back to the whole like quite a wide range, but it actually was quite good advice. Rather focusing on getting one product good, and being known for that, and then going from there.
What was that first thing?
So we launched with like 5 things, but we had like certain key tours that were like
the main
more
ones.
popular. Yeah. So we kind of structured in 2 different ways. We had full day tours and half day tours. And then our full day tours, well, so the popularity has kind of changed throughout. But our first one that was quite really popular was our Crystal Pools tour. And the reason probably why it was popular was because before we launched, we did a whole marketing video, and we went around with a few of our friends, and kind of shot video and got content. And we did the Crystal Pools was one that was very like interesting and quite cool to like see. So that got quite a lot of bookings in the beginning.
Right.
And then I'll just give you
just before you go on. So it seems like quite a straightforward marketing strategy. Essentially, it's like go film and take photos of the cool looking stuff that you offer, and then people will book it.
Yeah. For sure.
Nice.
So basically now we've got our Peninsula tour, which goes around the coast and kind of goes, we start everything from the Strangers Club in Greenpoint, and it goes around the coast and it stops off at all different little cool spots that we would love to stop at on the route, and it ends up going to Cape Point, and then backs around and we end off with a little sunset at Chapman's Peak.
Nice.
We go down to the cave. So is
everyone in convoy? How are you getting around?
So it all depends how many people book the tour. But so depending on the booking, we'll either hire a van. So back when we first started, now we've got next schooling actually just got a combi. So we've got our own combi.
Awesome.
And then if it's more than 8 people, then we'll hire a quantum for the day. So we always go in one car, and if it's a super big group, then we might have 2 quantums. But we normally try to keep it under 14 people.
Oh yeah, actually just logistically that's better. Yeah.
And also trying to manage everyone and stuff.
Yeah.
And once the tour is sold out, then we'll just say it's sold out.
Yes.
Unless it's a bigger group that's like more than 14 people that all want to go together, then we'll do a convoy.
Right.
So we've got the Peninsula tour, we've got the Crystal Pools tour, which I mentioned, and we've got a community tour where we go into Langa, and we work with a primary school there that half some of the tour cost gets donated to.
Nice.
And then we also go to a little community center where they're doing a whole lot of cool projects. And then we would go for lunch and stuff and show more of that side. And then our Crystal Pools tour is also out that side in Kocho Bay. So we also go around that area. And then our 4th main full-day tour is a Constantia Wine and Bride tour.
Nice.
And
where does the Bride fit in?
So,
because I can imagine Constantia Wine is the wine farms.
Noodle actually is luckily grown up on a wine farm in Constantia.
Okay.
So it's not open to the public. So it also gives a whole private side to it.
Yeah.
And we we do a whole braai there, and then they do wine tastings on all the different farms in Constantia.
Nice.
Yeah, and then half-day tours, we've got a pub crawl, which has become quite a hit. And not like the I'm going to get super pissed type of pub crawl, but more showing like the cool local bars that we like to go to.
Nice.
And
what area is that?
It's all based in town. So we actually start at like House of Machines, the rooftop.
Yeah.
I mean, not House of Machines, House of Edge rooftop.
H, yeah.
And then we go down to House of Machines.
Nice.
And the Secret Gin Bar.
Okay.
And then, and so like yours truly. So it's all around that lower Loop Street.
Okay.
and they end off in like SoCal.
Nice.
And then other day tours, we do like surfing lessons, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
We've got a guided hike up the Table Mountain, or any hiking, and then the hiking routes depended on your fitness level.
Right.
And then
Are you guys doing all these tours?
So Noodle and Choppy for the beginning part have pretty much manhandled all the tours themselves, and now we've started hiring guides over this busy season. So we've got a few guides working with us, but it was pretty much all self-done. I've been more in the office doing the marketing and working on float at the same time.
Right, which needs to be done.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, nice. And I was going to ask, how are you doing any cross-selling between the tours? Do people buy multiple tours? Do people come back?
So we kind of ask on the tour, we kind of tell them about our other tours as well. But we actually don't have any package deals that where you buy like 2 or 3 tours for a cheaper price. We haven't implemented any of that.
Right.
So it's kind of all just word of mouth cross-selling.
So, and do people do multiple ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
I mean, we've had some people, like you get 2 different types of travelers. Like you get the person who rocks up in Cape Town and kind of checks what they want to do, and then we'll kind of look for the tour like maybe a week before, or even the few days before. And you get other people that have a full-on plan from the moment they arrive to the moment they leave.
Yeah.
And we've had a few customers and guests that have literally booked one of our tours every single day, and then like gone to Robben Island in between, and then done all these other things, but like had a full-on structure plan.
Okay.
So yeah, there's definitely a few people that have done like all of the tours.
Yeah, I really like how you've thought about your different kind of customer.
Yeah.
Like, it's really important because those different people will have different needs, and you sell to them differently essentially.
Yeah.
How are these people finding out about you guys?
So we started mainly on Instagram, and we built a website where you can book through, and then
so you're running ads on Instagram.
Yeah, so we do some Facebook advertising, and now we started using all Google ads.
Okay, nice.
And now we also try to get on as many platforms as possible. So we're on Viator, which runs off TripAdvisor.
Okay.
So on TripAdvisor you can often book an activity.
I haven't seen that, but it makes sense.
So we can book our activities through TripAdvisor, and what's actually proved to be one of our main source of bookings is Airbnb Experience.
Oh, so you guys are in there?
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. How's that been?
Yeah, we get most of our bookings actually through Airbnb. And they have done so well. It's so impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. And they take a commission, obviously, and you guys are happy, happy with that?
So we kind of factor that into our tour cost commission. So we've got like a certain commission that is just part of the cost. And if we sell through our website or something where the commissions, it's just extra profit.
It's a bonus, yeah. Yeah, I get. You just have to do that. You have to factor that in.
Whatever bookings through. We first wanted to go through backpackers and get a lot of that, get our customers to that. But literally, you walk into backpackers and they've got a whole wall of flyers.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of build a relationship with each backpackers, and
so they
keep that relationship going, so they will punch you.
Okay.
But there are so many different backpackers that it was almost quite hard to do that. So our kind of plan changed, where we want to kind of focus on a few key backpackers, build a relationship with them, and hotels and stuff, and then do our other. So that's more of our direct marketing, and then our social media marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do get people searching online for tours, and then you want to come up then.
Yeah, sure.
But then Airbnb Experiences, it must be. Yeah. What's so great about that is that with something like Airbnb Experiences is there's already trust around Airbnb. Yeah. And
it's also aligned because the Airbnb Experience is anyone can sign up for it, and it's all local people kind of showing tourists. It kind of aligns with our concept.
Oh,
so
that's a good point.
Say you were like a really good climber, you could put your experience of going climbing with Jamie.
Yes.
And people can book it, and so it really aligns. So it works well.
But actually, yeah, it's funny because when you first said Airbnb experiences, there's a little thing in my mind that like, did actually think that because they're not a competitor though.
Nah, I mean,
kind
our
of
competitors could be on it as well, but yeah.
Yeah, but even like
Yeah, I know what you
technically
mean.
they're
Technically
a competitor.
a bit,
Yeah, technically they are, but they're
But
not.
we're
'cause
selling through our competitors.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and then so do you put each individual tour
Yeah,
up
it's
on
a different
there?
experience. Yeah.
Okay, and then they can see.
And they've got a
tour and
great platform, yeah.
Okay.
Where you've got internal messaging, bookings,
Oh, yeah.
everything. It's really cool. And
Yeah.
obviously the tours with the most reviews kind of also come up higher and get more bookings and stuff.
Of course. And is that going well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
man.
it's proved to be quite a good
That's so awesome.
booking avenue.
Yeah. So 2 entrepreneurial projects going on at the same time. Is there anything else on the cards? Or these
To be
things
honest,
holding
like,
you down?
No, I kind of like in the beginning I was kind of like, I might want to try start something every year, like, but to be honest, time is very limited, and even juggling two businesses for now has been quite challenging. So what I just want to kind of focus on these two. I might I've always got so many different ideas, and we've even got a group of friends that we meet once a month and just chat business ideas.
That's awesome.
Which is like super cool. So we're always like running through ideas and stuff, and I've always trying to think up ideas. But for now, I'm just going to try to focus on growing these, and once we've got this running, then I might implement another idea.
Nice, man. Keegs, it's been great having you here, man.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's been really cool.
Thanks so much
It's
for
a cool
coming.
experience.
Thanks, man. For those watching or listening, thanks so much for joining us. Please share your favorite quotes, your favorite insights with us. If you're watching, please drop them in the comment section below. And if you're listening or the comment section isn't for you, please tweet me at JamieandYou. Keegs, where can people find you online?
So me personally, I've got like my little LinkedIn profile and Facebook and Instagram, but I'll just say my Instagram is at Keegan Foreman, just my name. And then Float is also on Instagram. It's our main thing. And then Facebook, so at float_apparel on Instagram. And our website's just www.floatapparel.co.za. And then Local Knowledge is also obviously on Instagram, Airbnb Experience, and Facebook. But yeah, so Local Knowledge Tours on Instagram and localknowledgetours.com. And then on Facebook, Local Knowledge Cape Tours.
Awesome. All links will be in the description as well.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Cheers.